Hey guys, I'm the Burke and I do things, and today I'm going to do a eyeshadow palette collection video. I'm also going to do a small declutter in this. Oh my gosh, my hands need to be in this so I don't look like I'm not talking. Spoiler, I don't do huge declutters. I just try to keep products I really like in my collection and pass along products I don't really like. I usually, anything I'm getting rid of, offer to friends and family first, and then anything that they do not want, I pass along to Project Beauty Share. I will link information about Project Beauty Share in the description down below. Also, anything that I do keep that is not discontinued, I will make sure to link down below. And I've never filmed in this setup before, so I don't know how the sound is going to be. I hope it's fine. You guys will have to let me know what you think of this style. This isn't my typical style of video, so any feedback on if you guys like it, if there's something you'd prefer to see in a different way, if you want to see this type of video with other parts of my collection, you can request that down below. But yeah, I'm not gonna do this in any particular order. I'm just gonna kind of grab and go and talk if keeping it, if I'm not, and let's go. All right, I'm gonna start with this one because it's kind of off camera. This one is the Violet Voss Essentials palette. I did receive this one in a Boxy Luxe box, I believe last year, maybe early last year. While I definitely do enjoy Violet Voss, this one just is probably one of my least favorite palettes I've tried from them. So this one is going to be decluttered. I'm gonna grab this one next. This is from Too Faced, and this is the original Gingerbread Spice palette. This is a really pretty palette. I really like the quality of it. It reminds me a lot of the quality of the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette. So I will be keeping this one. One that you probably don't expect me to have or love is the Urban Decay Electric palette. I keep basically 3 very colorful palettes in my collection, and this is one of them. So this is not going anywhere. I really do enjoy this. I can do this one. So this palette is the Lara Lee Nudie Patootie palette. This one I talked about in my top 5 neutral palettes videos. So I really do enjoy this one, and I will be keeping this as well. One I do plan to declutter, I believe this came in my PR box from BoxyCharm. This is the Dose of Colors Sassy Siennas. While I was very excited to try this out, these colors just aren't colors that I personally enjoy, and I think someone else would really prefer this over me. Here I have my ColourPop Orange You Glad palette. I will say that I don't own a ton from ColourPop, and what I have I really do enjoy. I'm not against decluttering ColourPop palettes, but the ones I didn't like are already decluttered. Of all the monochromatic, orange is my favorite, but I'll be keeping all of my ColourPop today. Another brand I really intend to keep everything from is Huda Beauty. I have a bunch of the Obsessions palettes, and I really do love them. So this is the Coral Obsessions palette, which is one of my favorites. Another one of the monochromatics I have is Main Squeeze, and this one is not really like anything I own in my collection, but I really do like having it. My only Anastasia palette is Sultry, and I just absolutely love this palette. It is beautiful. It is very fun to work with, so I'm definitely keeping that. Here's another Huda palette I have. This one is the Mauve Obsessions. This one I did not love at first, but it quickly grew on me. Another one of my very colorful palettes that I love is the Weekend Festival from BH Cosmetics. I think this might be my favorite BH Cosmetics palette that's ever come out. I just think it is so fun and summery. So I actually got this Nomad Berlin Underground palette from an Ipsy Glam Bag Plus, and the colors in here are just so fun. These are some of my favorite green and golds that I own in my entire collection. It's a very unique palette as it's all very shimmery, but they just perform so well on the eyes. A Dose of Colors palette I will be keeping is Baked Browns. This came in my paid for BoxyCharm box, and I just prefer this color story a lot more than the Sassy Siennas. Okay, probably one of my least favorite Huda palettes is the Topaz Obsessions. However, I still do like the color story, so I will be keeping this one. If you know me, you know I love mini nude palettes. So this is the NARS Suede palette. It's not one of my all-time favorite nude palettes. However, I still do like it, and I will be keeping it. My final monochromatic palette from ColourPop is Aha Honey, and I just love yellow eyeshadow. This one up here is beautiful. Okay, I think this is a mini palette that I will be decluttering. This is the Midas Cosmetics Pumpkin Spice Latte palette. I like these 3 shades, but this brown down here just does not blend well for me, and I don't really want a quad if I don't like 1 out of 4 of the eyeshadows. It would be different if it was a larger palette and I just didn't like one shadow. So sadly, I will be decluttering this one from Midas. It makes me sad because it's the first palette I've tried from Midas that really called my name, but hopefully in the future they'll have something I like more. Okay, this quad I have from Makeup Geek is their Choco Latte Quad. So this is kind of part of the Matrix system, except this I purchased specifically from Target. It has 3 mattes and a shimmer. I really like the quality of it. Definitely will be keeping it. My other Makeup Geek quad is called Infatuation, and this is their original formula, also purchased at Target. I'm a really big fan of these as well. This is 2 mattes and 2 shimmers. Another mini palette I plan on decluttering is the Nubian. Well, this is the mini Nubian from Juvia's Place. Honestly, it's just not my color story. I really like this shade down here. However, it's a lot of very warm tones, and when it comes to a mini palette, I don't wear a lot of really deep warm tones like that, so I don't really get any use out of this, so I will be decluttering it. One of my favorite ColourPop palettes is the Sweet Talk palette. Definitely will be keeping this. One of my most used palettes I own is the Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette. I mean, look at how used this is. Used and abused for sure. A small palette I really like from Wander Beauty is their Wanderous Rush palette. I just really like these shades. My last declutter, I did declutter their Seascape palette, I believe it was called, but I really do like this one a lot more. Probably one of my favorite products I've ever tried from Ace Beauté is their Grandiose palette. Now, I said I don't like warm tones that much. However, I feel like this palette covers all the warm tones I will ever need. So I never really have the desire to keep or have other warm tones when I really like the quality and the performance of these shades. This is the, oh boy, reflection. This is the Milani Pure Passion palette. I did purchase this at Marshall's and I just was not thrilled with the quality of this. I don't super get the hype about it. So I am going to be decluttering this. This is a newer palette in my collection. This is the Colored Rain Vineyard Soiree palette. I have not officially reviewed this yet in a mid-month makeup review. Therefore, anything that hasn't been through a mid-month makeup review will be kept. I do really like this. I wish there was more of a gradient in the depth of the shades, but I really do like the quality of this overall. Okay, this is the only palette I own from Ofra. This is the Sweet Dreams palette. I do like the quality of these eyeshadows. I like that it comes with a highlighter in the center. If you see a color story of this you like, I think it's worth it. Next is an oldie but a goodie, the Too Faced Semi Sweet. I love this palette. I know that's probably not a super popular opinion, but I don't intend on decluttering this anytime soon. Another newer palette that I haven't fully reviewed yet is the Lip Bar Fairy Princess palette. This is one I'm still testing out, but so far so good. I don't have any negative reviews about it. Probably my favorite Huda Beauty palette is the Smoky Obsessions palette. I was sad to see that a lot of these palettes have been discontinued, but I really like this. It's my favorite one I have. Another BH Cosmetic palette I absolutely love is the Royal Affair palette. This color story is like a nice cool tone story. I really love this shimmery green over here. It's so beautiful. This is pretty unique to my collection. Definitely keeping it. Next, I have the Tarte Flirt palette. This is the only Tarte palette that has actually ever lasted in my declutters, and it will continue to last this one. It's the only Tarte palette I have that I actually liked enough to ever keep. This is the infamous Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. It's the only Morphe product I have that I really actually enjoy. I don't really buy from Morphe anymore. However, I do like this palette, so I will continue to keep it. Another Natasha Denona, I have the Mini Glam. I have to be very careful. The shimmers are very fragile, but I just love this palette so much. This is actually in my Shop My Stash this month. I'm a big fan of it. It brings me joy. The palette I plan on decluttering, this is the Makeup Revolution Sofex Extra Spice palette. The quality of these shadows just, they don't do it for me. I think it's such a beautiful color story. I love the oranges and the yellows and the greens. Like, that's all kind of like, when it comes to colorful, what I like. But I just have better performing shadows in my collection, so I'm gonna pass this along. Here's a Morphe palette I'm gonna get rid of. This is their 3B Pure Nude palette. I used to keep this because I liked having it as a companion palette, but I have so many brown mattes in my collection. I don't think I need this little trio from Morphe anymore. A Violet Voss palette I really like is their Fun Sized Oh Snap palette. I bought this over the holiday season, and I just love gingerbread in general, and the performance of these shadows is really good, so I really like this. A palette I do not enjoy from Ace Beauté is the Vintage Dawn palette. This one I did not like the performance of as much as the Grandiose palette. I found that the mattes were really hard for me to blend, so I'll be passing this one along. This is my L'Oreal Disney palette. I just cannot ever get rid of this. I'm sorry, but like, this is special. I have the e.l.f. Bite Size Pumpkin Pie palette. I really love these palettes. I plan on keeping these. This is the CoverGirl True Naked Sunset palette. I like the color story. It's nice for drugstore quality. However, the amount of fallout I would get when using this was like crazy, and I don't wear these tones enough to keep this when I already have that Grandiose palette from Ace Beauté for my warm tone shadows. This is from The Balm, and this is their Smoke Balm Volume 4. I really like this. This is 2 shimmers and a matte. I have no complaints about this. I think it's cute and tiny. One of my first ever palettes is the Object of Desire from Marc Jacobs. This is my baby. I love this. These shadows are like butter. It's got some face palette colors too. This is not going anywhere. I think this is our last mini that I have, and that is the Cream and Sugar from e.l.f. and I'm definitely keeping this. I'm a big fan. My third colorful palette that I was talking about is the Kristen Leanne Kaleidoscope palette from Urban Decay, and these shimmers are just amazing. I really like them a lot. It's really unique. Is it my favorite visual layout? No, but especially like around the Halloween time, I like having a couple palettes like this where I can just grab what I need and go. One of my favorite palettes that's currently in my Shop My Stash is the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette. I love this. I have been using this so much this month. I forgot how lovely this is. I can smell how good this smells. Such a fan. I feel like I talk about this palette all the time. This is the e.l.f. The New Classics, one of my all-time favorite drugstore eyeshadow palettes. I think this is great for beginners who are just getting into eyeshadow especially and don't want to invest a lot of money. I feel like this covers a lot of bases. One of my favorite Violet Voss palettes, this also was in my favorite neutral palette video. This is the HG palette. It's great quality. It has a good variety in it. I don't really love big palettes, but like this is about as big as I like. Another palette from BH Cosmetics is the Desert Oasis palette. I wanted to like this one a lot more than I do. I feel like the highlighters don't work really well on my skin tone. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mattes. I just feel like I wanted to like this and I just don't love it, so I think I'm gonna pass this one along. Another palette from e.l.f. This is, I believe, called the Hot Chocolate Spice palette. This one is also in my Shop My Stash this month. These sides were part of their holiday collection this past season. I wish they had kept them permanent because the quality is really good. This is the Zoeva Cocoa Blend palette. This one I am currently still in the process of reviewing. I did a first impression on this one about a week or 2 ago. So far, not super impressed. I basically feel like after my mid-month makeup review, if I still feel the same way, this one will get decluttered. On the contrary, this Zoeva Cafe palette, I've already fully reviewed. I don't like the quality, so I will be decluttering. Here I have another palette from The Balm. This is in the Balm of Your Hands Volume 2. I really like this. It has 4 eyeshadows, a highlight, 3 blushes, and a bronzer. I think it's a good all-in-one palette. From Alamar, I have their Volume 1 palette. This is one of my favorite summery palettes. From Storybook Cosmetics, I have the Little Briar Rose palette that came in my Boxy Luxe. I wanted to try to like this. I don't like this. I will be decluttering this. Of course, my all-time favorite ColourPop palette is Dream Street. I will never get rid of this. Another ColourPop palette I love is My Little Pony. This was limited edition, but it's super unique and I still love it. Another one of the holiday palettes from e.l.f. I forget what this one was called, but this was like more of the purple version and I love it. I'm very sad that they did not keep these. My other Storybook Cosmetics came in my PR box. This is the Little Red Riding Hood palette. This one I like even less than the larger one, so I will be decluttering it. This needs like a darker deepening shade or something. I just can't get a full look out of this. This is Carity's Rose All Day eyeshadow palette. This one is like really special to me. I bought this while I was in New York. I just like this palette a lot. It's very different. I don't really have like a fully pink themed palette like this, so I'll be keeping it. And our final palette is the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Thunder, and why is it not focusing? Why are we not focusing? Okay, it does not want to focus on this one. Right there, there we go. I don't like this color story at all, so I will not be keeping this. So what I'm gonna do now, like I said, it wasn't gonna be a harsh declutter. I'm gonna go do some tallying and show you guys how much I kept versus how much I'm getting rid of. Okay, and here is the final tally. I kept 47 eyeshadow palettes, and I would say about right around half of the eyeshadow palettes I kept are all minis. I don't have a lot of large eyeshadow palettes, so I'm pretty happy that that number is under 50. I didn't actually expect that to happen. And my decluttered number is 14 palettes. Honestly, I just needed to make some room in my eyeshadow palette drawer. It was getting really clogged, especially those Storybook Cosmetics palettes. They just take up a lot of room in general. So this is great. I feel like these will easily fit in the drawer I keep my eyeshadows in. I feel a little bit more relaxed. Definitely, like I said, let me know in the comments if there is another category you'd like to see something like this of. I will say I tend to be the most savage when it comes to eyeshadow palette declutters. I don't necessarily have the same emotional connection to my eyeshadow palettes as I do to other parts of my collection. However, I am willing to try. If you guys want to give me the chance, let me know in the comments. And as usual, thanks for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, click the subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. I have my Twitter and my Instagram down below. Give them a follow and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!